Growing up, I saw some of my closest friends and family members suffer from various eating disorders. In 10th grade, when I had the opportunity to take a 3-year science research class, I automatically knew what topic I wanted to study. I had noticed a correlation between eating disorders and social pressure. I wanted to dig deeper into this complex issue.
I remember I was talking to my therapist, and I said, everything's really going very well, except I can't stop eating. And that was a big, okay, Nancy, do you know what you really said there? And that was the first insight that I had had.
In the beginning of my junior year, I traveled to the Rudd Center for Food Policy and Obesity to speak to Dr. Marlene Schwartz, a director of the institute. Dr. Schwartz's research focuses on how home environments, communities, and school landscapes shape the eating attitudes and behaviors of children. During our 2-hour interview, she relayed personal stories that related to my topic. By the end of the interview, she gave me a foundation to create my science research project. I used the Yale Food Addiction Scale survey questions as the basis for conducting my survey at Sacred Heart.
I saw a lot of Yale students or other people from the area who had, a lot going for them. They tended to be, very smart and hardworking and had all these strengths. But then they had this eating disorder, obviously, which was completely causing them problems. But I found that, I really enjoyed working with them. Like, I almost felt like it was trying to help them learn that, you are so much more than your body or your, exact size and all this kind of stuff, and help them just kind of feel better about themselves so that they can be healthier.
Although I realize that my survey is relatively limited, with only 161 girls participating, here is what I found. 63% of students at my school who expect a GPA of A- or better overeat most of the time, 3 or 4 times a week, or all of the time, daily. 62% of the students who expect a B- or better overeat all or most of the time. No real difference there, that is, between the A and B students. But only 1/3 of the students who answered that academics are a priority and who are satisfied with a GPA of C- or better overeat all or most of the time. Does less self-imposed pressure result in less overeating?
For me, my pressure was I needed to be perfect. Self-imposed, have to be perfect. And when I wasn't, how was I going to cope? So food was my coping mechanism. So it's very complex, very difficult, very complicated, and very insidious.
Of course, overeating does not represent the only eating disorder. In 7th grade, I wrote a story about a girl who suffered from anorexia and how it affected her social life. It went like this.
My mom said if they can't take me for who I am, they ain't good enough for me. I'm anorexic. I have never liked food, so I guess I must have been born anorexic. Everyone at school knows my problem, so no one wants to be my friend. Most of them think I'm disgusting. I don't mind, though. I like being by myself, most of the time.
There's so much pressure on how we look, what appearance is so much of the culture at this moment in time, and what I worry about the most is the young people, your age, younger than you, older than you. The pressure on young women to look perfect, whatever perfect is.
What effect do home environment and outside influences have on young people's eating habits?
There's the individual variables and the sort of psychological variables, but there's also the environmental variables. And so trying to look at the food environment for each child and then see how that is impacting their eating as well as the other things.
My survey showed that for whatever reason, 92% of the girls in my school reported that sometimes, most of the time, or always, they eat more than they originally had planned to.
With obesity, I just feel like it's really not a psychological thing. I think it's really an environmental thing. To me, it comes down to that it's really just so unfair that there are these kids, because they live in a community that doesn't have very much money. There's no grocery store. All there is like fast food and these 7-Elevens that just sell junk, and then they go to school and the school is just selling them junk, and I get so mad.
Eating disorders come in many forms, and exact causes seem impossible to pinpoint. But one thing seems clear. Young women are especially susceptible to developing eating disorders. With the help of researchers like Dr. Schwartz, we are learning more and more about these serious disorders that impact the lives of so many young women today.